Hello everyone and welcome to this evening's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight's topic, building your station brand through social media. Before we get started, just to do a bit of housekeeping firstly, tonight's webinar is broadcast to you on Gadigal land. So as such, we pay respects to the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, paying respects to elders past, present and emerging, acknowledging also that sovereignty was never ceded. For those of you who would like to big up the traditional owners of the land upon which you are joining us, please feel free to do so in the chat box. You'll note also I've got the slide up there, the 2019 CBAA conference, early bird rego, closing tonight. That's midnight tonight, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Should you be joining us from a state that's not on the Eastern Seaboard and you only get a chance to get it in at 11:59 your time, I'm going to allow that. That's just because that's just my get down. But it should be an absolutely wonderful conference. You'll note that we have started to release a lot of the information in regards to the conference. Go to cbaa.org.au to get involved and find out what's going on there. Hopefully enough stuff there for everyone to get hungry for some more conference for 2019. It is going to be really, really good fun and also a great learning opportunity. Tonight's session, building your station brand through social media. Community broadcasters as creators of content have embraced social media, made it a way of amplifying and enhancing the engagement that we have with our audience. It's invaluable in regards to promoting content, increasing that community participation. It all can also be used to recruit volunteers and staff, as well as shine light on doing all of the other great stuff that we do as community broadcasters. And that's why we're very happy to be joined tonight by Zana Rose and Elizabeth Brown from the Arrow Agency. Now, I thought it was initially just going to be Zana who was going to be joining us, but Liz was a late-minute call-up, very much like how the Hilltop Hoods got that last-minute call-up to perform at, what's the name of that festival? Splendour in the Grass. Except, in this stage, Liz is an even better guest than the Hilltop Hoods will ever be. Apologies to any members of the Hilltop Hoods who are in our webinar audience tonight. That was very rude of me. I love all of your work. But thanks to both Liz and Zana for joining us. It's going to be a really great session. They'll be able to let you know more about what the Arrow Agency does, but they are an Australian-based services company specialising in artist management, digital marketing, and you guessed it, social media management. In this session, we're going to discuss how to communicate with our audience. What language should we use? How do we develop that online personality? Telling our story online. How do we convey to our audience and our potential audience about who we are, what we do, and our value to the community? What content should we be posting? Obviously nothing rude, but should we be posting content that is directly reflective of our station and what we offer, or should we go further afield to try and increase the engagement that way? Expanding our reach. How can we utilise social media to spread our message beyond those directly engaged with the station? And of course, we'll talk about frequency and why we shouldn't be posting too much spam, because that is a very, very bad thing. I've talked more than enough. Liz and Zana, I am going to throw it over to you. I will just stop my share now, and so then you'll be able to be in control of the session and also in control of unmuting your respective microphones, which I note you've done now. If you feel free to jump on the camera if you want to say good day to people and let them know that they're being addressed by humans and not robots. Hey, there you are. G'day. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. I can't thank you enough for this. It's really very much appreciated to have people so experienced in the field.
Thank you very much for having us. We're excited. It's great to be here.
Excellent. Well,
radio. We do.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I suppose before we kick off, we'll just give you a bit of context to who we are. If you aren't familiar with Arrow Agency, we are a Sydney-based music agency. So whilst we have a roster of artists that we manage, we also do release planning, publicity, marketing, social media management, and digital marketing for the music industry. So I am one of the co-founders. My business partner, Tam, specializes in the publicity area. I specialize in the digital marketing and social media, and Zana is our wonderful, amazing publicist. Hi. So Zana is also in a band, a local band called E for Echo, who are amazing. And she has a lot of hands-on experience with a lot of you amazing people in community radio who support her band. So
yeah, that's true. I do a lot of servicing. So I've been servicing to radio for a long time. So I've developed some pretty strong relationships with the local community radio in Sydney. So we're very excited to present to you.
Yeah. And we will go to our presentation. So let's just see if we can get this working. All right. So I'm just going to turn our video off somehow. Excuse me while I figure this out.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay. So I am assuming that everyone can see the screen. Let me just go back to our little presentation.
Just letting you know that I can confirm.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the chat so I can make sure that this is working.
Okay,
awesome.
Put your cursor at the top of the page and that should read it. But I can
all right, so the presentation that we've put together is basically building your station's brand through social media. So we haven't gone too in depth where it might be a bit overwhelming. We've sort of kept it basic, but assume that you also do know the foundations of social media. So I'm going to keep this chat screen up on the side in case anyone has any questions. I'm not sure if that's covering the presentation, but we'll see how we go. So, how to communicate with your audience on social media. So I suppose having social media is one thing. Actually communicating with the audience and keeping up the presence on social media is super, super important. So the one thing that you have to think about when you're setting up your social media or maintaining your social media is your tone of voice. So think about your brand's tone of voice. And think about the personality that you are wanting to portray. So if you don't have a tone of voice for your brand, some of the things that you should consider are the audience demographics. So the age, gender, area. So who are you actually talking to? Who are you reaching out to? What audience do you want to be part of your social media community? If you're appealing to teenagers, you sort of don't want to speak very corporate. You want to keep it casual. Always make sure that your grammar and your spelling is on point. But if your audience is super young, then your brand's tone of voice needs to appeal to them. If you are more of a corporate, older demographic, then you want to be talking a more corporate language. So when you think about your brand, you need to consider what your brand represents. So what does your station represent? What's the ethos of your brand? So does your station have a culture within it? Do you support a certain type of person within the community? Are you more hip hop based? Are you more rock based? Do you like to support local businesses as well as local music? And then that sort of leads into how you want the community to see you. So everything comes back to your brand's image and how you want people to perceive you. So the great thing about social media is you can really manipulate your brand. So however you want people to see you is however you want people to be. A strange example that's kind of popped into my head is Tinder. When you're talking to someone on Tinder and you can sort of be whoever you want to be. But then when you meet that person in real life, they might be a little bit different. So make sure that everything that you are putting on your social media is everything that you are. And when they tune into your radio station, they will get, what they're seeing online. Always consider the general interest of your audience and have a look at the content that you're posting, track what you're posting, and then have a look at what people are most engaged with. So if they're engaging more with video, put more video up. If they're engaging more with behind the scenes content, make sure that you feed them more behind the scenes content. If they seem to like more posts about the artists, maybe you're doing a lyric share. You might be posting interest points about the local community. Whatever people are engaging with, you need to be sort of feeding that back to them. So definitely make sure you track your content, and we can get into that in a little bit. Test your content. So if one type of content performs better, so if videos perform better than photos, stick with that as much as possible, but definitely don't fall into the trap of being too repetitive. So you might do a photo in the morning and a video in the evening, or you might do 3 videos a week rather than every single day. You might stick to having Fridays your behind the scenes day, or you might do your event posting on a Tuesday, as long as you're giving people the types of content that they want to see, but not making it too repetitive where they're kind of getting a bit bored. So that kind of leads into using your insights. Facebook has given us a lot of amazing tools to monitor our audiences. So if you go to your Facebook page, you can click Insights at the top. If you can't see the word Insights, then hit More, and Insights will be in the drop down. Click Posts on the left-hand side, and then toggle between the top menu options. So the top menu options give you when your fans are online. So on the left-hand side there, this crowd knows Tinder. That's so funny. I just saw that on the chat screen. On the left-hand side there, you can see a sort of a graph. So at the top, you've got Sunday to Saturday, and then you've got the time that people are online. So if you hover over each day, the little the line will move to show you. I don't know if anyone can see my mouse that I'm using, but the line will move to show you when people are online. So for Arrow Agency, we've got a peak audience at 4 a.m., another peak audience at 4 p.m., and then 10, 11, and then another one at 11 p.m. So this is when we post the most. We've got another one at 7 o'clock. So what I usually like to outline to, even if we're working with more of a corporate company or whether it's a music artist, think about when people are looking at their phone. So if you're sort of appealing to that sort of 18 to 25 demographic, you want to think about maybe when they're heading to uni. Couch time is a really big one. So between 9 o'clock and midnight, when people are on the couch scrolling through their phone, you want to think about commuting time. So in the morning when people are commuting to work, it might be between 6 and 8 a.m. When they're commuting home, between 5 and 7 p.m. and then the couch time. A recent study from Facebook said that there was a lot of people like to scroll through their phone while they're on the toilet. So that was a really interesting insight that they shared recently. But if you go to if you Google Facebook demographic insights, you should be able to find their latest report, and it shows you, it actually gives you, based on the country breakdown, the most popular times of being on Facebook and what activities people are doing while they're online. On the right hand side, we've got the average reach of posts and the engagement per content type. So sorry, I skipped to the bottom here. So you can see that people interact with photos a lot on our page, and then links, and then shared videos. So videos that you're organically posting are going to work really well. We share a lot of videos because we're sharing our artist videos, or if we're running a publicity campaign and there's been a video shared about an artist that we're working with, we'll share it to our page, which is why it specifies their shared video. But we know that photos are our most popular content type, so we sort of tend to stick to posting photos. On the top there, we've got top posts from page you watch. Now, I'm just going to try and give you a live example here. So that's not the page I want. So if we go here, so this is actually, yeah. Can everyone see my browser page? Awesome. Okay, so here we've got a Facebook page of, this is actually not an artist, but this is a race car driver that we work with, and we do all of his media management and his social media management. So what we've done here is there is another racer who tours with the supercars that Luke King is part of, and his Facebook is doing really, really well. So what we've done is we've set Adam as a page to watch. So he is basically our main competition at the moment for social media. So we can see his engagement here, and then we can compare that directly to Luke's engagement. So literally all you do is you click add pages, and then you search for a page, and then you just add them.
And they don't know that you have added them specifically.
Yeah.
But they know somebody has added them.
Yeah. So they might get a notification saying someone has added you to their watch list, but they won't actually get a notification to say Luke King Racing is watching you, because that's just awkward. So that's a really good tool to use, so that you can sort of watch your competitors, and you can track their likes as well. So let me just go back to our presentation. So this is a really good tool. You should be living and breathing in your insights, especially your time of day and what posts people are engaging with. So if you really, really want to be posting when the eyes are online, in the essence of fishing where the fish are.
Did you want to go into Instagram insights and Twitter insights? Or
yeah. So another thing, that's a really good point. If you go to analytics.twitter.com, you can log in, and it's a super self-explanatory screen. You can see what tweets are performing, what demographic is looking and clicking, and what time they're online. So that's another really good one to do. And also Instagram insights. So if you have got your station set up as a business page, I actually think now you can do it without being a business page. But basically, if you go to Instagram, you click the burger menu on the top right, so that's the 3 lines, and then you hit insights. There is a plethora of amazing information on that page. So I wish I could share you my iPhone screen right now, but I can't. So the first tab is content. So it tells us that we've had 13 posts this week, and that's versus 10 last week. So we can sort of track how often we're posting. If you go to the activity tab, this is gold. So this tells us that Thursday, Sunday, and Tuesday are our most popular days. So if we've got an announcement or something that we really want people to see, we need to post it on a Thursday, Sunday, or a Tuesday. And then under that, we've got discovery. So we reached 489 accounts last week, which is pretty cool. So that usually means that we're popping up. Well, no, it does mean that we're popping up in the discovery page. So the little magnifying glass next to the home icon is where you can search someone, or where you can actually discover new profiles. So it means that we sort of appeared on 489 people's profile last week. And we had 1,772 impressions. So we gauge that week by week to sort of see how well we're doing. And if that goes down, we probably need to assess the types of content that we were posting that week. In the audience tab on the top right, we've got locations. So ours is Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Adelaide, which is super random in cities. And then Australia. So we're Australia, and then countries. So we're Australia, US, UK, Brazil, and Germany. And then underneath that, you can see your age. So that's super, super important when you're considering your tone of voice, what sort of language you're using, and what sort of content pieces to post. If this isn't reflective of the audience that you want to be targeting, that means you need to assess what you're posting and who you're interacting with. So if you're getting 55 to 64 and that's not who you're targeting, then sort of have an assessment of the types of content that you're posting. You should really live and breathe in this, especially in the early days. So we've I use Insights to monitor our sponsors' accounts. We use Insights to watch what our sponsors are sharing and how we can help modify to add to their announcements to share their special info on air. So that was from William Martin. Yeah, that's really good. That's perfect. To use a direct example, Luke King, who we just mentioned, the race car driver, we use it for his sponsor content as well. So we like to monitor what his sponsors are posting and when they're posting about him. And how our content is directly helping his sponsors as well. Similarly, when we've got an artist touring, if there are support acts or we have got a brand on board to sponsor the tour, we need to be making sure that people are actually interacting with those posts, especially if it's a big brand that is on board supporting your tour or they're one of your brand ambassadors. You want to be able to send them through screenshots and show how many people are interacting with certain posts. So for you guys directly, that's perfect, William, to judge how you can sort of modify the content that's going to air and how people are interacting with it. So yeah, Instagram Insights is gold. So telling your story online. So I suppose when creating or communicating your brand, you really need to think about your content strategy, especially in the early days when you're actually creating your brand and you're bringing it to life. Have a think. And a content strategy doesn't have to be a 10-page document. It can literally just be, we want to reach this age. We are focusing on this genre in this community. What are people in this demographic appealing to the most? Some things to consider. What's the story behind your station? So kind of put your sales hat on for a little bit and think about your unique selling points. So trace it back to the beginning and ask yourself, what are you doing and why are you doing it? What makes up your station's DNA? So just, have a think about your story and how you want to tell it. What does your station stand for and what part of the community does it represent? So at all touch points on social media, you need to be making sure that you really are representing your community. Radio is sort of one of those things where people listen to radio and they start to feel part of the brand. They start to feel like the presenters are their friends. Danny, yes, it's a good term, isn't it? You can thanks Zana for that one. So people really start to feel like the presenters are their friends. So at every point, you need to make sure that you're representing your community. And I suppose that people are proud to be aligned with your station. Again, we keep saying it, but who are you targeting? It's just so important to think back to who you're targeting. In the same essence of when we do a publicity campaign, we do a bespoke target list for each campaign because, Zana's band E for Echo might be completely different to another band that we're working with. So you need to think about your targets at every point of the way. And that's just so important with social media. What are you promoting? So you're promoting your station, you're promoting the music on the station, but are you also promoting local businesses? Are you promoting events in the local community that perhaps aren't necessarily centered around music? I think music is a given within this, but thinking outside of that box and what you represent, really hone in on that DNA of your station and who you're reaching out to, who you're speaking to, who's part of your wider family. And I suppose the next point is an important one. What are the ways you can support your local artist community to nurture and develop local talent? I think that's the most important one. I suppose, did you want to add anything from an artist perspective?
I did want to add the FBI radio, the culture guide.
Yeah,
can you send an example of that?
Yes, we'll try and send. Did you want to talk through it while I find it?
So FBI Radio do a community and culture guide. So that's a really good way to get immersed in the music community. So supporting local artists, creating a gig listing feature, spotlighting artists every week, sort of engaging that way, telling their stories, kind of bringing out like the artist DNA as well to sort of help you get more genre specific. Can you see that page now? Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Danny, you're so fast.
Yes. Just confirming that we can all see that page on the website too.
So yeah, they do. They have a great example. They're very artist focused in terms of, you know, like I go in there and I've been going in there and servicing my band's music personally for years, and yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Zana obviously does that with all of our publicity campaigns as well. So probably another thing to note is that you're always also appealing to music industry professionals. So you've got managers, people who are doing digital marketing, and publicists. So like when Zana's doing a publicity campaign, she'll create a target list and be looking at all of the community radio stations super closely, especially for developing artists, to see where she can place them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, being as specific as you can about what your brand is going to sort of get you a spot on target lists for publicity agencies and artists.
And I suppose the more that you're showcasing your brand and the more publicists that reach out to you, your job is kind of done, because then you're just getting fed all of the music and the press releases and the
yeah, it'll start coming to you.
Yeah. Is there anything that you look for on community stations that you're not seeing when you're doing publicity campaigns? Is it maybe a little bit of a it's an on-the-spot question, isn't it?
No, that's okay. I mean, I guess sometimes if it's sort of, yeah, I guess like if the DNA of the station isn't clear, it can be hard to know if it's a good target. So yeah, I mean, again, just the clearer you can be, the more bites you'll get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be the language in the post, or a photo or a video, just a really quick.
Yeah. And also, yeah, like so the more that you sort of push the artists that you're playing via your social media, that's going to give potential publicists an idea about what kind of music you're playing.
Yeah.
Rather than having to go through your playlists. Yeah.
Creating awareness through radiothons and supporter drives. So I'm sure that you guys all do supporter drives and radiothons, but using social media to power that. 4ZZZ actually do this really, really well. Well, actually, so do FBI, and there's a lot of stations that do it really well. But during my time living in Brisbane, I think when CBAA are doing a supporter drive or a radiothon or anything like that, I think every single person in Brisbane knows about it. The awareness is super, super strong. So if you can get people to feel part of your community through social media and encourage sharing as well, sharing your post to get your supporters and to get the eyes and ears for radiothons, that's super key. I suppose the social media is the megaphone.
Yeah. Sorry, just to clarify as well, the link that we've got there, we actually also should, so it's the same link, the fbiradio.com, but /soundcheck is the gig guide for FBI, and that's got the gig listings that we were talking about before. But the culture guide is sort of more engaging with other arts and culture within the community. So, which is also really important, sort of that overall engagement, which actually brings me to another point. A company called Technical Audio Group that they supply Allen and Heath and Audio Technica and sort of higher end audio equipment. Every year they do trips through the middle of Australia and drive of Allen and Heath van with loads of audio equipment that they donate to remote Indigenous communities. So they have set up, their own hashtag, which is called, what do they call it? AMP Ampervan.
Ampervan, that's so cool.
I think that's what it is.
I love clever hashtags like that.
I might have that wrong.
I'm just going to, is this the page? Should I share this one?
No, I will show you the page. Sorry, just bear with me.
There's a lot of cool things that you can do within your community, I suppose, as a radio station. Giving a voice to your community is one of the most important things.
This one on their page.
So I'll just go to page for you.
It's April 24. Actually, the cover photo is the last trip they did.
So I'll just share this screen with you all. I think that's working. So the concept behind this is the van, right?
It should be just this one here.
Yeah.
Awesome. So basically, this would be a great example of something that your state, if this was coming through your town, that this would be something that you could engage with, and you could co-promote it through the use of hashtags, through the use, of even, setting up things like little kind of, I don't know, you could do any kind of collaborative thing with them when they're in your town. You could do just getting a photo, a little video to share.
Getting some vox pops on your iPhone to play on air, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, having, and then that's just content that you can use. You can create content out of that connection and cross-promote. Yeah.
That stuff is gold. That's like half your job done if you can find an event to jump on the back of. So I'll just jump back to the presentation. So that's a really good example of getting involved in your local community and also with other music companies.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Building those relationships is always very, very good to strengthen your brand as well. So the types of content that you should post, we just wanted to post a few examples of some good content types. To be honest, every community station that we looked at had some awesome content, but we couldn't screenshot it all. So a lot of community stations out there are doing such a great job. And I think it's a testament to maybe the age that we live in. I think everyone has some sort of social media savviness about them. It's just building on that a little bit further and knowing a little bit more about insights and having that sort of perspective to think a little bit deeper. So when you're thinking about the types of content you should be posting, consider the platform that you're posting on. So Facebook is different to Instagram. Instagram is very video heavy, very photo heavy, not very text based. So you sort of want to, people are scrolling very fast on Instagram. So you sort of want your message to be conveyed immediately in the video or the photo, and not rely on them to read the caption. Facebook is a little bit different. So people tend to read a little bit more on Facebook, and you can share events, you can share links. Like you can't share a link on Instagram. It has to go through your bio. Just on that, if you do want to put multiple links on your Instagram bio, don't forget to use a Linktree. So Linktree is, Pedestrian TV uses this really well actually, and we use it for all of our bands. But it's an awesome tool where you can group all of your links together. So you click, it's linktr.ee, and what you can do is set up, so say for example, Lupa J, one of our artists, her album came out recently, but she's also got tickets to her tour on sale, and we also want to be supporting all of the different articles that are coming out of the different streaming sites that she's on. So the link in her bio takes you to a page where you can click to either download on iTunes, stream on Spotify, listen on Google Play, watch a video on YouTube, buy tickets to the tour, or, we might feature an article for the week. So definitely use Linktree in your bio if you've got a few links that you want to be directing people to. for a budget, if you're starting out and you're not sort of sure how to use social media or what platforms to use, just focus on one or two and go from there. Even if you just start with Facebook, don't stress too much about all the different platforms that you can be using. For a budget-friendly campaign, we always recommend building your Facebook page, capturing the audience through Facebook. Unfortunately, the way the algorithm works, you will have to boost a few posts, but you can do it for like $10 or $20 for a couple of days. It just doesn't have to break the bank. And then use Instagram to capture your audience organically. So you don't really have to boost on Instagram. You can just go on a hashtag liking spree. If you are doing hashtag interaction, so if you're searching if you're a radio station in Alice Springs and you're interacting with Alice Springs music or Alice Springs community or anything like that, don't just like the post, but leave a little comment as well, like about the picture or about the post, even if you just do it for half an hour a day, because a like is sort of lost these days. People get their likes through and it's just become sort of an everyday thing, but comments are what really get people's attention, and that's what's going to get people to follow you back. That's what's going to get people to call you back. To call you back, to follow you back. So the other point of that, which I know that we've said a few times now, but always post content that relates directly to your demographic. So make sure that at every touch point you're supporting your brand's personality, tone of voice, and invite people into the team. Make them feel like they're part of the family. Like really just bring them in and make sure that every touch point, again, relates to your target audience. It's really easy for me to get on a tangent about target audience, but it's really important. So the types of content that work really well are behind the scenes videos. So you can see the first post there is FBI radio. So we've got body type in conversation. The second post there is from Triple Z at Splendor. And the third one there is actually a really cool sort of piece that 2SER did, and that's a good example of community. Oh, we've got a question here. Okay, so Jason, can you give us some idea of what tone of voice should be adopted for a station that has a target audience based on an area, not necessarily a specific demographic, as in the case for most journalists licensed station? So that's when you sort of need to think about your community. So if it's not demographic based, so it's more area based, think about what sorts of things are happening in the community, what events are happening that you want to support. And if you are super, super regional and you're in the country, I suppose you don't want to sound like a city slicker. If you're appealing to an area and not an age group, then you need to think about what sorts of activities or community events are happening in that area. Is it more of a local fruit shop kind of town than a big Woolies area, and how people talk to each other, how people interact, how they sort of relate to each other. You might share a lot of community news. If you're in a town where there's a lot of farmers, you might share some posts that relate to farming, or some drought updates, or weather, and appeal to all audiences. So you might be posting about a music event, and then you might also again post about some sort of some community news update. I think that if you're appealing to an area, you really need to think broad. I suppose you need to. It then wouldn't be just, obviously radio is not all music based, but you need to think about what everyone is doing in that area, and that should help you formulate your tone of voice. I'm trying to think of a running example. I suppose Brisbane would be very similar to Sydney, but not similar to Melbourne. So people do sort of interact a little bit differently. Regional, I have recently moved to the Central Coast of New South Wales. I used to live in Newtown, and people interact completely different on the Central Coast of Newtown. So even mainstream radio on the Central Coast is super, super community based. They're always talking about community events, local businesses. There might be a sale down at the local furniture store, local athletes as well. If you're in a smaller community, I think you have to support everyone sort of think as wide as you can if it's not just an age. I hope that answers your question. I
think that that's a really good point. But also I think like digging deeper and actually really trying to think about goes back to the DNA of your station. So I understand it's that you're broadcasting to an entire town, but within that, is there a specific is there some sort of demographic that you can think of that would sort of be linked to your brand?
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Oh, bye Vic.
We'll miss you. Okay, so content tips for each platform. Facebook, just some really quick tips that most of you probably will already know, but avoid posting external links. The algorithm of Facebook doesn't favor posts that take people away from the platform. Similarly, it likes to feed you content that you have interacted with. If you're not familiar with the algorithm, the way that I explain it is it's this sneaky little man that runs around with a black book with notes on everyone. And if he sees that Zana interacts mostly with local events or maybe posts from a certain page, if she's interacting with a lot of FBI content, then anything that is similar to FBI, it will feed her. So even if she hasn't liked the page, it might go, oh, you might like this, because they want to keep you on Facebook for as long as possible. If I'm interacting with a lot of music posts and fashion posts and fitness posts, Facebook will log that as an interest and it will just keep feeding me posts around that. And that's taking keywords from the captions as well, the types of pages and people that are tagged, all sorts of, there's all sorts of different sort of tagged information that Facebook picks up on. So anything that links directly outside of Facebook, including to an article or YouTube, you'll probably have to boost it if you want more eyes, because Facebook will not want people to click away from the platform. Ask people a question and encourage them to comment below. So if you are getting engagements on your post, that's gold, because if Zana posts on something, comments on something, that I haven't seen, Facebook will go, oh, well, Zana and Liz always comment on each other's stuff, and Zana has commented on this post, so we'll feed it to Liz. And that's how it works. It just continually feeds through your local community. And where possible, post videos over photos, because people interact more with videos unless it's behind the scenes photos or a photo that's super interesting. There are actually a few stations that do cat and dog memes, because people just will click like on that and share it regardless of where it's come from. Instagram, sign up for IGTV. So IGTV, you can post videos up to 15 minutes. So it's a great new way of sharing long form video, especially if you want to premiere a music video for an artist, or maybe do a video for a local business or perhaps a local sporting event that's happening. Use your Instagram story to bring people into the station. So this will help you build a personality for your announcers, and in turn, your brand will take shape and your brand personality will sort of display nicely on your Instagram story. I mean, I wouldn't say post 50 story posts a day, but you can definitely post as much as you want on your Instagram story, as long as it's engaging and it's bringing people in. One thing to watch is if your story starts out with, say, 200 watches on the first 3 posts, and then it goes down to 180 and then 160, 140, and people start to drop off, maybe have a look at the point that they're dropping off and when they start to lose interest, and don't post that sort of content. So if you start to lose people, have a little bit of a think of why. And again, that goes back to tracking your content and what people engage with the most.
Because people can mute your story if you overpost or you post uninteresting things. You will notice the views go down, and they've likely muted it.
Yeah.
Which is not what you want.
No. And it's great if you, on the viewer side of things, if you're just done with seeing that sort of content, but when you're a brand, you sort of, you want to keep people engaged for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Twitter is mostly great for news pieces, short snippets of information and thought pieces. So get your newsroom to use Twitter. Twitter is probably most popular in Australia for news pieces. So definitely make sure that your news bulletins are coming through on Twitter, and that you've got a regular news feed on Twitter. Posting frequency. So one of the most popular questions that we get is, how often should I post? As a rule of thumb, try not to post more than twice a day on Facebook and Instagram news feeds. So Facebook, you might do, if you really need to post twice a day, do morning and night, spread it out and make sure it's relevant. If you've got more that you need to say, use your Instagram stories. Facebook stories are good as well, but they're not as popular as Instagram. So definitely use your Instagram stories for if you've got a lot of content that you just need to post that day. Twitter is really good as well, because Twitter, you can post as much as you want as long as it's relevant. The reason that I haven't focused a lot on Twitter is it's not huge in Australia. It's quite big for news. Like if there's ever anything happening in the news, like my partner and I, we were watching the Brexit updates the other night, and I went straight to Twitter to follow the Brexit hashtag. If I want an update on the drought or the farming situation, I go straight to Twitter. So it's definitely great for news. But in terms of Facebook and Instagram, try and limit your news feeds to twice a day. And the rule that I always use is the 4 W's. So if you can answer the 4 W's, then post, which is, what am I posting? Why am I posting it? Where am I posting it? And when am I posting it? So if you've got a good answer for each, so what might be a photo or a video, an announcement, a community update, why am I posting it? Do you have a valid reason for posting that post? Where is it, Facebook or Instagram? How much of a caption does it need? If it's on Instagram, then it needs to be more visual. If it's on Facebook, depending on the type of post, if it's a community announcement, you'd want to pair it with a photo. If it's anything behind the scenes, then you'd want it to be a video, and then when. So look at your insights. If you're about to post at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, then have a look at your insights. You might want to wait till lunchtime or post it when people are driving home or sitting on the couch later at night, which follows on to the next point.
Also, I was just going to jump in and say you can sync your Instagram and Facebook. Did you say that already?
No.
Oh, okay. So you can set that up, so you kind of get to halve your work.
Yeah.
So with the stories, Instagram stories, you can there's a setting before you actually send it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can click like always share to Facebook. So that kind of cuts that in half. You can also do that with posts, but you need to be mindful that when you post on Instagram, the handles aren't going to cross over to Facebook. So you're going to need to, it'll still share it, but you're going to need to go into your Facebook post and manually edit it so that you can hyperlink all of everything that you tagged. You'll need to correctly tag on Facebook. Just takes an extra 20 seconds.
Yeah. And if you've got a lot of sponsors for your radio station and you're tagging them in a lot of posts, save it as a note on your page and copy and paste that each time you're posting, and then you don't have to think about who you're tagging every time. Sponsors are super important, so make sure that you're always tagging them, always relating back to your sponsor, because without your sponsors, you don't have funding a lot of the time. So you really want to make them feel as loved as possible. And if you can integrate them into your posts, that's even better. So expanding your reach, where possible and where the budget allows, boost your events and your key message posts. Again, the algorithm on Facebook isn't super friendly, and it's geared as a revenue tool for Facebook now. So if you're posting from a page, Facebook sort of goes, oh, you're a business. Okay, well, we're going to charge you to get eyes on this. Which isn't always the case. Like you can actually have a pretty good organic reach, but for the most part, especially if it's an event, then you'll need to put some funding behind boosting that. Thanks, Danny. So supportive. Strategic integration of your sponsorship with social media. Great stuff.
I wish you would just pop up in a chat on my computer all the time. Yeah, so like I just said, the Facebook algorithm is wired around a business model of pay for click. So if it knows that the post needs clicks, it'll make you boost it. So for example, if one of our artists gets really good organic engagement and then they post an event, Facebook you'll need to boost it to actually get the eyes on it, because Facebook knows that you need people to see that. Similarly, if you've got a post that has a key message, maybe it's a community announcement, boost it. And again, it doesn't have to be a huge amount. It could be for say $10 or $15, but you'll have to sort of assess what you boost against your budget. I did cover this a bit too soon, but use Instagram to engage with hashtags and similar accounts to engage with your existing audience, and also to achieve growth within your audience and some awareness around your brand. Don't just like the post on a hashtag, comment on the photo and make it as personalized as you can. It doesn't have to be a novel, just something to make that person feel warm and fuzzy and connected to you. And that's it. Ta-da!
Do we have anything to add?
I feel like no.
Did you want me to show that?
That is really
a good example.
Yeah.
We'll just really quickly share.
So it's the 4ZZZ FM Radiothon that they're doing actually next month.
So as I said before, their radiothons, I'm sure they're done very well. Sorry, I'm looking on a different screen as I type this.
Too many O's.
Too many O's. Radiothon. Okay. I hope that I'm sharing the right screen.
Yes, that's the right screen. August 9th to 16th. Radio.
So, yeah, you can see here it says 4ZZZ are heading into another radiothon where we will go all out for our 10-day subscriber drive, asking our listeners to become financial supporters of the station. So that's what we were talking about earlier.
Do you want to share their Facebook page?
And yes, I will also really quickly show you the 4ZZZ Facebook page, because it's probably one of my favorite branded pages, and they're using the header, the cover image really well. They've made a little video, which is awesome. The branding, you instantly know what you get when you go to their page. There's some really cool, people love behind the scenes photos. They love to see what it looks like in the studio. And I did also see, I think it was on FBI today, some really awesome videos were posted. Yeah, all of this stuff is just, content gold. Yeah.
Excellent. That has been a really, really wonderful
If you have any
session.
questions, I guess post them in here.
Yeah, or do you, Danny, what would you do now? Turn the mic?
What I might do is, I've just got Noddy from the CMTO who's helping us, was able to assist with a question from Talia Lavelle. Hopefully you're hearing me at the moment. We're not talking over the top of one another. The question from T from 99.7.
Oh, Danny boy.
Thanks, Jason. I'm glad that it was informative.
Can you guys hear me at the moment? Can anyone hear me?
Are there any questions? If you want to type them, or I think you can just talk. Oh, here we go. Oh, Danny, we can't hear you.
Oh, that was really weird. Everyone else can hear me. I don't know why you guys can't. I might. Oh, I'll probably be feeding back through your speakers. I'll just get you to. Oh, there we are. You're on camera. Oh, you were on camera there for a second. Everyone can hear me. Probably some problems with your mic there, but you've muted your mic, so now you can hear me as well. There was a question there that Noddy was able to answer. It was from T from 99.7. I will throw it to you anyway, just so we're getting everyone having a go at this. On their page, they have content posted by only their moderators. So I think they've sort of got the station page and also a group page, which is more an internal one. What are your thoughts on that sort of practice? And you'll have to unmute yourself before you say that.
Sorry, it cut out a little bit in the middle there. Can I get you to repeat it? Sorry.
I can indeed. I'll just have to go back into the question now. It's T from 99.7. G'day, T. So they have a page which is sort of around their programs and music and whatnot, where it's controlled by their moderators. So that'd be their station page. And also a group page where it's more sort of, I guess, a community one where everyone can have a go. What's your sort of thoughts on that sort of practice?
So I suppose pages, really wanted pages and groups are something that maybe we should have covered as well. So pages are really good when you're communicating your brand and you're communicating messages. Groups, if you've got an announcement that is probably specific to a certain topic that sort of needs to be maybe a little bit more private. I'm trying to think of a running example and I can't really think of one. But groups and pages serve two different purposes. So you could create a group of something perhaps sponsored by the radio station for a specific type of people or a specific group of people within your community. And you can sort of keep that as a way of interacting directly and having a forum. So if you create a group on Facebook, it's a really nice way to create a forum where everyone can have their say. If you're encouraging people to sort of have a go and have their say on pages, just be careful about what sort of questions you're asking or how you're encouraging that communication. Unfortunately, it's hard to escape the keyboard warriors. So don't be scared to hide comments if you need to. But I suppose just assess whether a post needs to be or a certain discussion needs to be on a page versus a group. I hope that answers the question.
That's excellent. That's a very comprehensive answer. And I just wanted to bring up a couple of things on my screen at the moment. A few artists who are on AMRAP. This is just to show that Arrow Agency, they walk the walk and they talk the talk when it comes to community broadcasters. Ainsley Farrell, Ellery Cohen, Lupa J is on there as well, whose page, why won't it let me click on it? Oh, it's because I've got the thing there. But anyway, Lupa J is on there. And also E for Echo on AMRAP as well.
Thanks, Danny.
And obviously got not only the co-sign from AMRAP, but also FBI Radio on there as well. And I just wanted to bring that up there. I just wanted to keep establishing your credentials there, Lana and Liz.
Lana and Ziz.
Lana and Ziz.
Well, I mean, if you do decide to sort of get those names mixed together, like Jennifer Aniston and Ben Affleck, or they were Jeff Fleck or something like that, you guys can just be Lana.
I quite like Ziz. I think I'll call it
Ziz. Sorry, and there was one question there from the audience. Peter Van Schaik asked, how do I know if I need to boost a page?
So how to know if you need to boost a post on a page would be how important that post is to you. So if you know the moment that you post it, say for example, when we post an event and we need ticket sales, we know that immediately we have to boost that post. If you think that it might get some organic engagement, if you post so for radio, if you're posting a community announcement and it's a really important announcement, I would boost it. If you're posting a video and it's more of a branding, it's raising awareness of the station and it's more of a branding tool, you could see how it goes. And then if a few hours after posting it, you're getting 0 engagement, then give it a bit of a boost. So I suppose the first port of call is ranking how important it is. If you definitely need a certain amount of eyes or clicks or ticket sales, boost it. If you want to just see how it goes, then you could just sort of let it run for a day, not getting the eyes and the engagement, then give it a boost.
Excellent. I better let you both go because you've been with us for an hour. I can't thank you enough for all the knowledge you've imparted on all of us tonight. Amanda asks if there's audio available after this. There will be audio, as well as I will get together all of the links that Zana and Liz discussed tonight and send them off to everyone who's registered for for tonight's session. William Martin asks a question, which is basically going to be a webinar all of its own, I would suspect. But I'll throw it out to you if Zana and Liz have got a 30-second answer. How do you think the recent libel judgment holding the media accountable for defamatory comments impacts upon our sector and space, and indeed general users of Facebook?
Question?
Sorry, did you hear that one, or was I talking too fast?
Can you give us some? No. Where's that question? Is that written down?
It's in the chat box. It's about, you know how the owners of the Facebook page, if you will, are going to be responsible for what people post on other people's Facebook.
Yes, right. Sorry, now we're with you. Look, I think that it really I do agree in some respects that you really have to monitor your audience. You can't control what people post, and similarly, we can't control the rules that Facebook impose on us. But as I mentioned just before, you do get keyboard warriors and you do get people posting the wrong things. So just monitor and hide the comments where you can. Eventually, once you've hidden comments from a certain person or a certain tone, Facebook does sort of say, do you want to hide comments like this by default, or do you want to block this person from commenting on your page? So it's a bit unfair that we're now held responsible, but at the same time, we're responsible for monitoring our audience, and that comes back to community management. So there's content management, which we've just covered, but community management really comes down to managing your community, replying to posts, liking comments, hiding comments. I think that it will only affect you if you're not really sort of staying on top of things and hiding inappropriate comments.
Excellent. And with that, we will have to say goodbye. Zana and Liz from Arrow Agency, I can't thank you enough for tonight's session. This has been one for the ages. I think the knowledge that you've managed to cram into 16 minutes is absolutely amazing. I wish I hadn't spent so much time there at the start telling people that the early bird prices for conference finish at midnight tonight. Just shut up in the future. I'll be calling you tomorrow to say thank you again. But on behalf of the Community Broadcasting Association of Australia, our friends at the Community Media Training Organisation, and all of our wonderful visitors here for tonight's session, thank you so much, Zana and Liz. It's absolutely amazing.
No worries. And if anyone has any other questions, feel free to send us a DM on Instagram and we'll get back to you.
Excellent. I know. I'll send everyone the details for all of that tomorrow. Oh, wow. This has been great. This is Danny Chifley on behalf of the Community Broadcasting Association of Australia, thanking you for joining us here this evening. Don't forget our next webinar in approximately 1 month from now on Wednesday, 28th of August, happening at 6:30. Good governance. How healthy is your station? Bloody healthy, I'll assume, but let's check it. Be sure to join us for that one. More information available at the CBAA website. But for now, see you next time.